Welcome everybody to the session on the SUSE Customer Center roadmap. My name is Benjamin Landorf. I'm the product manager for the SUSE Customer Center. And before we start with the presentation, I think there are some details on this title slide that need some explanation to give you some background on how we're working and how what we're doing, and yeah, what kind of roadmap I'm going to present to you today. So first off, I'm a product manager. So also SUSE Customer Center is a service that we provide, and then kind of an infrastructure that we need for providing access to maintenance and support. We treat this as a real product. So of course a product then has a product manager, and as said, I'm going to present you the roadmap for our customer center. And that is kind of only half true, because it's one of the roadmaps, which is a bit different from other products that we sell, because the customer center, of course, caters to you as the customer, so provides you with services, but it also plays an integral role in our for our internal workings. So for the release managers, we provide the service that they can add new products, like we did with SP2. So there were roughly 20 products that were enabled, and that's something we do. There's marketing activities that we coordinate and things like that. So that is basically different aspects that come together and that add to what we provide to you. So what I'm going to present to you is the roadmap that focuses on you as customers, but this is only part of what we do. And the roadmap that I'm going to present is also special in the way that it's a bit different from other roadmaps. That has to do with, as we provide a service, we do DevOps, so we develop everything ourselves, we do operations, maintenance, and so on. And that gives us a lot of flexibility. We don't have any fixed release dates. We do continuous integration, continuous delivery. So that also reflects in the roadmap. We have a set of priorities, service availability on top, user experience second. But in these priorities, we are able to be pretty flexible in assigning new things and taking on new information that we get from you regarding what you want to see in SUSE Customer Center and what you need. So that means what I'm going to present is what we've done in the past few months. That's one thing, and what we're planning on doing. But that doesn't mean that is necessarily what's going to come to happen, especially if you request something different. If you say, well, that is not important for us, these things are more important for us, that's something we can easily incorporate in what we're doing and what we're then plan to do. And that is a lot easier than with a fixed release plan, as with other products. So that being said, let's start with the presentation. What do we have on the agenda? So first off, happy birthday. The life cycle, so to speak, of SUSE Customer Center is closely connected to SUSECON. So it started with one SUSECON, and every SUSECON, basically, we get 1 year older. So it's always time to look back to the last year or to the last years, what's happened from the beginning. Looking back what we did, what we implemented as features in the last 12 months, what we focused on. Then, of course, looking ahead, what are our plans for the next 12 to 18 months? And yeah, this is also kind of, not exactly correct, because discussion appears as a separate point at the end. But really, I would like to have the discussion immediately if there are some questions that come up, if you have comments or want to give feedback, do this right away. So we'll have time at the end, again, to discuss things, but if there's something in between where you want to want to make comments, do this right away. So happy birthday, the first part. It depends a bit on how you look at it. When was the first birthday of SEC? So we started with the alpha version in November 12, the beta in November 13, and the first going live in October 14. So that's always SUSECON. And today we are either, depending on the definition, 4 or 2 years old. I'd vote for like 2 years because that was really the birthday, so to speak. And a little overview of how far we've come. We started with 160,000 users that we took over from the Novell Customer Center. And this has grown to roughly 240,000 users. So that's 40,000 a year that we add to our database. We have 220,000 organizations, had 220,000 organizations initially. It's back. So there's the, okay. Yeah, I'm going to avoid this. So we have 300,000 organizations. And one thing that will become important in the further course of this discussion is that there. It's back. I didn't step on anything, but well, just a second. Ich mache einfach weiter. Okay. So. I'll just ignore it. You just imagine there are numbers there. So, so there are more organizations than users, as you may have noticed. So for every user, there's more than one organization on average. And this is will become relevant in the further discussion.
Is a user-created site ID also an organization?
That's also an organization from how we look at it, and that explains how this comes to pass. And that is kind of the challenge that we are also facing. So, and we've gone from 107 unique visitors a day to roughly 700, and that this keeps constantly growing. And that's to be expected because people move to /12, and that, of course, then leads to visitors on our side. And we add some functionality that makes returning to SEC worthwhile. We also have the average response time there, and by comparison to other customer centers with 290 milliseconds average response time, yeah, we're pretty good, I would say. So we know that others have like 700 or 800 milliseconds, so that's can be considered pretty good. Thank you for making this possible. That's not the end. That's not the end of the presentation, but thank you for making this birthday party happen and contributing to the visitors on the site and organizations there. So looking back to the last 12, 24 months, there were two big things that we implemented, two big features. One is directly visible to you, that's Patch Finder. So there already is a Patch Finder on SUSECON, but it has some quirks, and we decided to integrate our version of Patch Finder in SUSE Customer Center, which makes good sense because we know already what kind of subscriptions you have, so we can restrict the search to only the subscriptions you have, products for that, and we can allow you to immediately download the patches you find through this. So that's also our goal for the next time, to integrate more and more of this additional functionality, like to put this together to allow you to find all the information you need and to download everything that you need then directly from SUSE Customer Center. So we have added advanced search capabilities. We'll see a little screenshot in a little while to show on the next slide what you can expect there. We have sortable results, which are not there in the legacy patch finder. We offer details with full references to the underlying bugs or CVEs, and you can also, there's really links directly to the entries there, and you can directly download the packages if you're entitled to download them, or if they are freely available. So this looks roughly like this. We start usually with a simple search, but you have advanced search criteria. You can look only for security patches. You can look for certain severities. You can, of course, have a start and end date, version, architecture, product, and a search term, or a combination of search terms, certain CVEs. And you can always hide these advanced search criteria. You then get a list sorted by various criteria: architecture, release date, severity, and as you can see, you can click on one of these to get additional information, and you can also go to the download here. The additional information, as promised, contains the complete description together with links to all the bugs that were fixed, CVE entries, and a list of packages that you can then download here in the patch. So, and the idea is to integrate this maybe in a package list to make it possible to subscribe to notifications here, so to expand on this. That's one of the big customer-facing features that we implemented. That's just an example. Then we did something that I added here because it highlights a few things that we are trying to do customer-facing in the near future, but that we actually did internally initially. So we created a module that is called Customer Management that allows our support, customer resolution, sales to see what our customers are doing, what their organization structure is, what subscriptions they have, what support requests they open, and things like that. So why did we do this? To illustrate this, we have to have a short look at this diagram. So this is basically, these are the objects that you can manage and from within SUSE Customer Center. So you're a user usually, so you have a login. You belong to one or more sites, and subscriptions, all the subscriptions that you have, belong to one or more of these sites. And as soon as you have a subscription, you can register systems against these subscriptions. And kind of in the background currently, there's an organization that is the parent of all these sites, or some of the sites. You can also belong to multiple organizations. So if you belong to different sites here, that would mean there could be 2 or 3 organizations that you're really a member of.
And so what do you mean, what is the difference between an organization and a site? So I've just asked if it's user-created ID, is that a site?
That is a site. This is a site. A site is always associated with a street address.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the legal entity that can have.
Legal entity
this is
can have multiple site IDs.
Yes, that's the case. So.
Okay, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Couldn't the site also be a ship-to address? So if somebody wants to procure a product and they list their address, so we would populate them as a new site?
So that would usually be done through organizations. So you have different organizations, and if you have a ship-to and a...
We don't use it. In our Oracle system, we only use the end user address as the entity where we ship the subscription to.
what about built-in address? Is that some customers that will?
Yeah, we have 4 different addresses in the Oracle system.
Yeah.
We only use the built-in and the end user. The built-in and the end user can be different because of the distributor, for instance. But we're not using the ship here, so it's about it.
Or not?
So,
I would hope to have
yeah. So, but that already points to part of the problem that we are facing here. There's some confusion about what is a site, what is an organization, what to use it for, how do I join a site or organization, why do I not find all of my subscriptions, where are they, are they associated to sites that I don't see that belong to an organization I'm part of. So all these cases happen in not every time and not often, but these are the cases we're usually dealing with and that are kind of difficult to track or trace.
You have a child account underneath a parent account that's like, where would that fit underneath there? So for example, I have a company named For Daniel Corporation, but it rolls up to its parent account, For Daniel Enterprises. And both companies are in Oracle systems, are in Oracle databases somewhere, and we are constantly having issues with them trying to find all of their subscriptions.
Exactly. So these relationships are on the organization level, so the organization, parent organization, and so on. But we currently do not make this visible in SEC. All we show to users is their user account, the sites they belong to, and then the subscription, because we are providing the services, subscriptions, maintenance, so that's what we are interested in. But as an organizational tool, there's the organization above, and that.
So this particular customer, he's in charge of he works at the headquarters, right? So he's in charge of the parent company.
Yeah.
But because there's 3 different children underneath that parent, and it sounds like they all have different sites, he has a very difficult time trying to figure out who owns what and where. So
that goes for the administrator of the top level organization, but that goes for members of these sites as well. Because first off, you have to become a member of the site. How do you become a member of the site? You don't know that the site is there initially. You know that maybe your organization has sites in there, but you don't know who is the administrator up there, maybe. The bigger the organization, or if they're geographically distributed, that becomes a problem. How do I ask my administrator to add me to the organization? I don't know.
Sorry, now it's getting confusing. So a site ID, is that what you refer to as a child account, or is it a parent account?
It's a site, and this is a child in this case.
So there's no correlation between the organization, what we have in SEC, and what we have in the Oracle?
There is this correlation, but it's not currently used throughout in SEC. So
because the organization is not visible at the moment.
It's not visible, yeah, exactly. So we have the information, what organization this is, but currently we don't use this as an organizational tool. And that's kind of looking ahead already, because that's something we now did it internally. We added a tool to kind of make this visible and to help, first off, to be able to help you with any questions to subscriptions, sites, and users that might come up. But we, of course, want to make SEC able to show you what the structure of organization and site underneath is for you.
So he is the admin on all the accounts.
Yeah.
So how do I tell him to be able to look at one single pane of glass here and see all of his subscriptions throughout his 3 different
That's currently not possible, but that's something that will come up.
I should have clarified that earlier. That's what I was after. So.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah.
Finish up with this one. I was just going to ask the follow-up.
Yeah. But this is the problem that we're kind of realized throughout the last few months, that this is one of the main, or maybe the main problem that comes up whenever you don't find your, you want to manage your subscriptions, you don't find your subscriptions, you don't find the sites or organizations that you should belong to, who is in charge of that? You can't look it up because you're not part of that, so you don't see it.
Is this going to be related to the new partner program structure that has something very similar?
Could be, because our partners also are associated with sites and organizations, so I guess that's the same underlying structure here.
We've been cleaning it up so it would be potentially.
Yeah, that should then be the same thing. We can look at it in more detail, but I guess that's the same because site and organization is something you see there as well.
Yeah, so you can run a report on a pivoting, and you can add and on the site idea. Then you can add so that you have an overview of all of the site ideas. Yeah. I mean, you can simply add them as an administrator to all the different site ideas so that he has one overview.
NTMA also lists all the site IDs as well. You just have to click through the different, so people go around. You have to click through and see child and all that.
Yeah.
You'll see like all the listings of different addresses, and that left column, that's the site ID.
Huh.
Yes.
There's another related thing here. Usually when you buy directly from us, we set everything up for you, though the subscription is already activated on a site and you can use it right away. You just can register your systems on the subscription. That does not hold when we sell through partners. In this case, we don't have this connection because we don't know who the partner is going to sell to. So that means customers of partners have to log into SEC and assign the subscription to your sites themselves, and that is another challenge, another opportunity to assign it to the wrong site or whatever. So that's, but that's only a side note. So the main thing we're looking at is this structure here. So what we did, we created this customer management, and it is now internally available. But of course, the following features are subject to change. This is of course true of all roadmaps. Your feedback will be one reason to change. So if you have anything to add here, anything you want, let me know. And the order of the features that I present does not imply priority. I can give you a little hint of what is more important or what we think is more important, but I would like your feedback on that as well. So we're going to improve on Patch Finder. So we, as already mentioned, we'll add notification functionality. We'll integrate this with system registration. So if you know what systems you registered, so what service pack you're running, we can filter automatically all the patches that we offer you to match exactly what your subscriptions and systems you have. And of course, we can then search here in a subscription-aware manner, and we can decide if we offer you things that you don't have subscriptions for, so to show you that there is something that would match your search criteria, but which you're not subscribed to yet.
This seems an awfully lot like the functionality of the monitoring module from SUSE Manager. Like, how is this, I mean, if customers have access to this, how is a salesperson going to sell monitoring now?
So, but this functionality is already available on SUSECON currently. So, just saying. So notification and like things like that. That's already.
I wasn't aware of the
Pathfinder. Yeah. So we're just making our version complete so that we can discontinue the SUSECON, because this has the problem that you have to add everything manually. Every patch that comes in or every product that has patches needs to be added manually, and we can pull this automatically from the metadata that we're seeing.
And I think there's also a difference between subscription and system. So this is subscription side and manager's system side.
Yeah. So we're looking at the subscription. That might mean you see things for all the service packs. If you have a service pack not service pack specific subscription. Yeah. Something that we have been putting on hold for some time because the backend system was about to change, which does not come to pass now, are some improvements in the area of support requests. There's a missing functionality, to be honest. There's no knowledge base integration. There is no way to upload attachments currently, in addition to existing support requests, and there is no way to reply to requests from supporters on the support requests currently. So that's currently being developed. So this is not really on the roadmap, but this is currently in development on our side. And we intend to follow up on that with additional functionality now that we know that the backend system we're interfacing with will be around for another 18, 24 months or so. So that it now makes sense to do this. It wouldn't have made sense if it had been exchanged in 2016. So then another thing, package lists. So with /12, we introduced modules, and that has made it kind of difficult for our customers and partners to track where their packages went. In 11, everything was part of 11, basically. And now in 12, it can be in part of the base product, or it can be part of whatever module in another newer version than the existing one. And that is one of the main drivers to look at package lists. So we want to provide information about the module. If there's any, a certain package can be found. Version history, architectures, including gaps in this, dependencies, of course, that need to be tracked. And this kind of integrates nicely with the patch finder in various respects. So a tool for you to better organize packages, overview of packages. Another thing, evaluation download improvements. We're looking at a more streamlined process. Currently, you have to go through SUSECON, download your evaluation media, and then a registration key, a real key is generated and assigned to an account in the background, and that now again fits in with what we discussed earlier about sites. It picks the first site it finds, and it is always a user-created site, which does not make much sense. And if there's no user-created site, even if there's an Oracle site, it's get assigned to the newly created user-created site, and not to the original real Oracle site. So if you're trying to download an evaluation copy of an extension, availability or so, chances are better than not that you end up with an extension subscription that you can't use because the base product is on another site, assigned to another site. So in order to make this integration work, we need to be in control of all this evaluation download stuff. So that would be one of the features that we are going to implement or planning on implementing. Another thing also in the context of sites, subscriptions, and system, partner registration, key activation. So if you're buying through a partner, we wanted to make it easier for you to activate your keys, or we don't want you to have to activate them anymore. We're going to basically reverse the process, and that means when you buy through a partner, you just get an identifier that you can use on our site and activate everything with one click. So no more lost keys. Sometimes they are printed out on paper and they get lost. We don't have no trace of that because we didn't even know that the key was handed out. We don't have any one key per system activations anymore, because currently you get one key, you can activate a subscription with system limit 1, and then you can register one system on that subscription. So if customers buy 100 instances through a partner, they get 100 keys. They have to activate 100 keys, which is possible because they can upload the list to SEC. So they can do this in one go, but then they would have to register each single system with one of the keys. Nobody does that, obviously. So they use one key out of the 100 keys, which is, well, it's compliant because they bought 100 instances, so that's okay. But there are keys lying around that we don't know about that were sold together with the other key, and they can use them 3 years later, without even thinking about it, because, well, the key was not activated, so has not been activated so far. So that is a real problem, because then, without wanting to, they might become non-compliant.
Customer renewal deal, do you give them a new key or a new set of keys, or can you just continue with the same key? I mean, do you just
Yes. Currently, if we know that it's a renewal, we can extend the key. But it's a manual process, and that's also part of this setup that we're planning, to have this renewal simplified a lot. If we don't know that's a renewal, because the partner didn't tell us that it's a renewal, then of course they get a new key and hand out a new key.
It seems like right now they just get all new keys. It seems as though they just get all new keys at the time of renewal, unless, like myself or somebody else calls in and says, well, this in all actuality, and so then they have to, and like you said, it's a manual process.
Yeah,
so I don't feel like it takes...
There is no / a manual process, so there is no automated way of extending this.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a partner who's doing development. They give them a complimentary key, and the statement is it is supposed to be renewable on an annual basis. You just said this was a manual process?
That's for OEMs or AHVs, ISVs. Yeah. So.
Does that work, or does that have to go to the manual process also?
I don't know of any automated process currently. There is only the way of extending the key, so setting the validity to a new date, and that can happen every day. But there's no automated process. Do you know of one?
As far as I know, it applies to the partner centers for customers. So if they order a new subscription or key, whatever, and they put an existing company ID on that purchase order, they will check if there's a key and they will extend it.
Yeah.
If you don't put anything in there, this is why some customers have 10 site IDs, because they forgot to put their site IDs into the purchase, and we create a new one. This is why some admins really have a lot of drill on it. And in fact, it becomes even worse if a subscription is once activated, it cannot be moved anymore.
Yeah.
You cannot move subscriptions. The only thing that's possible is there's an RMA that you can request with our order team. What they will do is they will delete that old subscription, create a completely new one, but will also have a different key then, and put that into the ID you have, but that takes between 2 and 4 weeks sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's also a manual process.
And it adds additional quantities to the amount of subscriptions.
Yeah, adding
so
quantities is
the
easier.
impression that they own more than they are entitled.
Yes.
So
this is also something that we can...
So it might then be that the purchase order does not, or the order history does not match the key system limit anymore. So it's not a good idea to do something like that, and that's why we want to address this and also make renewals and more or less automated. So we tell the partners that there is a renewal that should happen, and they approach a customer, and if they tell us how much to extend, then we can extend the key automatically.
For the renewal team, it's an automated process.
If it goes through the renewal team, yeah.
Can I add something to the support wish list? So the evaluation keys are super, and they typically work. But if, for example, you get a key for SUSE Manager 1.2, really old, 3 years old, and now you want to test out 3, you can't, because you have an existing evaluation key. It's almost impossible to get a new key. So it would be very nice if
yeah.
either in the past within the Welcome Center, we in support, we were able to go to a key and change the expiry date of the key. Or when a customer calls in and says, you know, I tested it for 3 weeks, I could use another week. Can you give me another week? That I can go in there and I don't have to start a super big process, because for a week, I mean, obviously we do that for the customer. If he needs some more time, let me add another week or two to the key. It's not possible in the SUSE Customer Center.
So the thing is, you can do this in the NCC, where the key has to be available as well, currently. But for the other, what was the first question?
Yeah, if we can extend keys or quantities of keys and just the expiry date, change the expiry dates of the keys.
Yeah, so we currently don't sync this back. And that would of course then be possible, because we have to, in this scenario, we also create the keys when the customer comes to us with the identifier that the partner gave them, and we can then also manipulate the duration and whatever. So, so it
would be good, what I'm saying is it would be good if we in support get something like an admin account, I have that already,
yeah.
Right, where we can do this.
Yeah.
So I can, because these customers open a ticket,
yeah.
and they come to me and they say, listen, can you help me? And
yes.
They don't go through a service line
yes.
or something, or sales guy, they just open a support ticket. And
yeah.
then if I could just check 2 clicks, sync, done.
Yeah, and that would also remove, because if I have an existing key, I can't get a new one. Yeah. That goes for 12 months each. That would also remove this restriction then.
Okay, good.
So, or allow us to remove this restriction.
Because that causes some customers that just create a new company ID, a new evaluation key, yeah. Which is adding to the number of site IDs.
Exactly, and that's one of the problems we want to solve with this, just to unify this. And again, this is already in implementation. Not the renewal part necessarily, but the create this, and we're already talking to to partners, or we're just waiting for them to sign off on the budget.
You should present that next week on the meeting, please.
This part?
Yes,
yes, sure. I will basically use the same slides more or less, if that makes sense.
So nice.
No? Okay. Then I'll add some more. Okay. Yep, right. So, and missed expiration dates, of course, that's if you don't know who the customer is, because this bought through a partner, we can't tell them that their subscription is about to expire or has expired.
Does the system generate an email to let you know it's about to happen?
Nope. No? It just shows up. What just shows up in the SEC?
It highlights it, but it doesn't generate like a message to the client.
In most cases, for the OEM part, in order to know where to send the email, the customer has to have used the key, activated a key, and that happens only in 1% of the cases. So in 99% of the cases, we don't know where to send the email, because they only use one of the 100 keys.
Yeah, but also if they have registered it in the SEC and the end date is almost there, the system doesn't generate a key, right? Or a message that their subscription.
Yeah, because the message would have to go through the partner, and the partner would then have to, because that's their business, not ours, really. Yeah, we could argue both should get the notification. So, but this is going to be there as well. So and even automated. So they don't get an email, not necessarily. They can use a service endpoint and query that. So give me the list of all the subscriptions of my customers that are about to expire in the next month or so. So that's.
Can we send that email to you and you generate?
Yes, sure. That's exactly what we're working on.
I'm going to need to check your.
So, and this is the number one thing on our list. So the other thing with the hierarchy, that's maybe number 2, but that's a bit more complex than this one. In this case, we of course depend on partners joining with us and using our interfaces then. And yeah, we have like 3 or 4 now in the pipeline that will come on board early next year. So, but it's less complex than the hierarchy visualization. So back to, yeah, okay, that again, the overview, I don't think we need this, but we'll come back to, yeah, especially this relationship in a second. So, I don't have a working prototype yet, but I can show you something, how the new...
Somebody needs feeding.
how the new UI will look like that we're planning on. So our UI UX team created something to show you. The new colors are already active. They're coming from SUSE. So I'll explain this in a second. So, as I said, our UI UX team, the two you just saw, created this to show a bit about what it's going to look like, but the main point, of course, the new colors are nice, and it has a new design and looks a bit nicer.
It doesn't play that music all the time. That would be.
Is this a request to have this music playing all the time?
Next time, talk to me first.
I could have played the video without the music, but it wouldn't have been the same.
I know Manuela, I really have to talk to
Okay, the music was Cynthia's idea, so.
make sure she's not part of that again.
Okay, I'm going to tell her. Okay, the music caused it, yeah. The main point I want to make here is, of course, we're taking over part of the design elements from SUSE.com, the new ones, the colors, for example, or this nice white spaces in between. But the main thing here is the site-aware navigation. So, and the organization-aware navigation even. So, if you look at the site as it currently is, there are some in the menu, there are some dashboard and things like that, and there are support and patches, and there are most of the subscription system, dashboards, things like that. These are site or context sensitive, so they refer to the site you're currently working with, and support and patches are not. And we want to separate this and make it clear for everyone in which context you currently are, so which organization you're currently working with, and to give you an overview that is permanently visible, which organization you select and work for, so that you see that there are more organizations than the one you just selected, because if you log in, the first one is automatically selected for you. So you might accidentally end up on the wrong site, and then do something that you want to do in another site. And that happens a lot, yeah, even to us. So, and we want to avoid this, yeah, in the future. So we make it site aware, and we want to show you which parts of the site are independent of the context that you're in. We want to provide contextual help and contextual feedback to you on this. So, I guess we have discussed most of the things. If there's anything else, we can do this now. Are there any features, especially, that you would want to see that we didn't cover, or is this the set of features that make sense for you as well? That's, for me, is the main question.
So, on the support side, as soon as somebody would like to ask for an incident,
yes,
they have a selection box where they can select the contract.
Yeah.
And that is always connected to the person who does the incident. It's not connected to the site ID, which are entitled for specific
Yes.
content. That's an issue because some people have multiple site IDs that
Yes.
they are connected to.
Yeah, and
Create
different.
an incident where they're not.
Yeah, and different subscriptions for that. So there's this is part of this easier or better knowledge base integration, because that also requires us to know for which product or subscription you're opening the support request. And that again, in turn, there is currently no match between the list of products we get from the support system and our products. But now it makes sense to create this and to restrict everything based on first off to SUSE products only, because currently there are non-SUSE products in there as well. That's the first step. And the second step is to match this with your subscription. So you only see products that belong to your subscription. And then, of course, we can also show you when you start typing, the knowledge base entries that belong to that product and what you're typing. So that's the idea, to have this process to first select product architecture, and so the account is already set. We want to have this context sensitive, and then when you start typing, it shows you the top 3 or 4 knowledge base entries that might match what you're looking for in the product.
Will the new graphical interface be available?
The new graphical interface, we can expect this maybe the first quarter of fiscal year 18. So yeah, it depends a bit, because we are also involved in, as I said, we are also enabling products, and there are some products upcoming with a new delivery model between April and July, so that might be the kind of the hotspot in this. Depending on that, maybe a few months later, but the two will have to compete for our resources. Anything else?
How can I request additional site IDs for a specific entity?
If you are the entity, you can. There is on the organizations page, there is a button up there, Add Organization.
Yeah, okay. But then you need to put in a registration code.
Yeah.
And I don't have a registration code, so
You want to?
that's simply adding it to an
to
additional
yeah.
site. But I thought you mentioned that there is a kind of parent account of an organization.
Yeah.
And that you can have multiple site IDs.
Usually that is being created in the purchasing system, so that's not created on our side.
Okay, that's not.
That's not currently the idea.
That's a big issue.
Yeah. There's.
What would be a nice feature to have is within SCC, so you find your organization, maybe there's several site IDs. Is there an export or a reporting feature where maybe you could save it to Excel or PDF or something?
I think for organizations there is already one, but this would have to be extended because it doesn't currently.
But does it have all the subscription information?
Exactly. So that would. Yeah, that would have to be extended. That's yeah. So and the organization information, it's not in there. It's just the site.
Okay.
It's the sites that they belong to. Yeah, but there's something we can
Lots of features.
yeah, we also have a way of exporting the subscription information, but not this. So we have to merge the two things together. You had a question?
I think we just need to talk about
Yeah.
ISV stuff.
Yeah, sure. That by the way, we also have a booth in the kiosk area in the showcase. So if you want, during the showcases, you can just come up and we can discuss more if this hour is not enough. So that would be an offer. We could do this offline as well, so it doesn't have to be the kiosk or booth. All right.
show, like, you have your entitled subscriptions, right? And then it shows the systems that you've registered, correct? What if you go off and you have an ISO somewhere and you're downloading, you know, things that you probably shouldn't be throughout your organization, and they're not registered back to the SEC? Is there a way for SEC to go back out and somehow catch those that are not registered for, you know, compliance feature almost?
So the point is, you may download ISOs as much as you want, and you can install them anywhere and run them anywhere. The one thing you're not allowed to do is to mirror our maintenance update channel. So how to get currently what we do is we create tokens that you can use with our CDN to download this, and you can, if you're, this is not a 100% secure solution. So in order to really secure this one, we would have to use something like blockchain implementation or something to really make sure that you can use this only in one way and on one side. So that's currently, and this requires then all client applications, starting with Just, Zipper, SMT, SUSE Manager, to all support this. And that will, so this is it sounds like a small feature, but it's a big one. And that's why we're not currently considering this for the roadmap. It will be, compared to what we gain from this, okay, it would be nice to know if someone misuses this, but we trust our customers enough to say that in general, they are not misusing this.
It would be nice for our LV team to go over there and say, just show me what you have in your portal, and be done with it within, you know.
Yeah, there's another problem. If you want to have this, there's another problem to begin with. For 90% of our systems, we don't know because they're not registered. They're registered through an SMT, and there's an option in SMT to not forward registration information. And that means all the big customers use this. And for 90% of all the systems, or more than 90% of all the systems, and especially from big customers, we don't know. We have one SMT with 6,000 systems behind, and everything else has less than 1,000. So we don't know about the big customers. They just switch this off. Or they have a firewall in between, and or.
No, actually it's a positive thing, because typically customers do some internal auditing. So they say we have 1,000 servers now, we expect 1,200. So they just get 200 licenses, they buy them. They don't even measure for themselves if they need them. So they even do an audit later. So it might be that we get some licenses, some subscriptions sold, they might not even need because of that. So I think, in fact, it's good for us. And that's also part of the open open, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you want to, it's not really compliance information, 100% accurate, but SUSE Manager creates something like that. So, and we're in talks that it can be extended to such a way that they really just print this out from SUSE Manager, because that's the.
Do subscription matching yet with SUSE Manager?
No, we don't do yet, but that's something we're talking about, maybe to make this, that you just can print out a compliance report.
Yes.
And that hand this over, and then that makes it easier for both sides. But that would be, but that's relevant for the size of customer that has an SMT that doesn't forward the registration information, and that usually then buys SUSE Manager. So that's exactly the setup we're looking at, because it's easy to do this for like 10 machines. That's not the problem. But if you have hundreds or thousands, then it gets interesting to have something like that to match this exactly. Also for the customer, because they don't know. Are we compliant? Yeah, we don't want to run out of compliance accidentally. And that the more systems you have, of course, the more likely it is to happen. So, and then it becomes difficult to, or this one system, is this still covered? Because they use an SMT, and they have disabled it.
It's also a problem. So you can buy unlimited virtualization machines, and then that screws up like everything. So in SUSE Manager, you just get by default 100,000 subscriptions. How many customers use these fully? But if you have VMs, you can easily reach thousands. But you have no clue what your real subscription count is, what your virtual is, because we let them go virtual as much as you.
But it has to be on the same physical machine.
Yes.
So, and then there are then LPARs or
SUSE Manager 3 had reporting capabilities that because before it would just show you all of the VMs,
Yeah.
but you didn't know what host
Yeah.
was. Now I thought that was going to be included.
Yes, but it's fully informational only. It doesn't do any matching.
Yeah.
And it's not accurate, I would even say. So we kept it super open. So in SUSE Manager 2.1, if you had 100 subscriptions, you would try to register, and your subscriptions were run out, you couldn't register. We removed that completely. So you can have one subscription and register 1,000 systems.
Yeah.
It would not be compliant, but you could.
There's even no partitioning capability. So if you have multiple SMTs or multiple proxies, it counted it multiple times because then. Because the individual SUSE Manager installations didn't know that this is staging, this is, so they just scan the entire topology. So there's no way to partition this, which makes it kind of difficult. So,
Thanks.
questions? Otherwise, thank you for,
Thank you.
yeah.